Ashley, what's our next main topic today?
Next one up is from Phil. So, Shazam had an opening weekend of $53.4 million domestic, better than Warner Brothers' conservative estimate of $45 million, but still a missed opportunity. In my opinion, having advanced screenings 2 weeks early is the biggest culprit. It shouldn't have happened. It largely undermined our anticipation for opening weekend. I haven't gone yet, where people want to feel that buzz of seeing something new with all levels of fandom. Do you see continued justification for advanced screenings?
All right, thanks a lot for the message, Phil. And I got to tell you, dude, I 100% disagree with you. I 100% disagree with you on this. I do not believe at all that those advanced screenings they did for Captain Marvel, or for Shazam, I should say, a couple of weeks ago, hurt Shazam. If anything, it helped it, because what did you get coming out of that? You got huge positive buzz, massive amounts of positive buzz. That always helps. That never hurts. Now remember, they were projecting $45 million for this thing opening. They do the advanced screenings. It jumps up a certain amount of percentage to 53%. Now, look, I said from the beginning, this movie will make more than 45. I honestly thought it would make more than 53 as well. It certainly deserves to make more than 53, no doubt. But no, that did not hurt it in the least. Them doing these advanced screenings did not hurt in the least. They did the exact same thing with Aquaman. That film ended up making over $1 billion. So having a film you're confident in, putting it out so it's not just critics raving about it, but you got a good sample size of the audience out there buzzing about the movie, saying how much they love the movie, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. It just does nothing but create momentum and help. It certainly helped Aquaman, and I think it clearly helps Shazam here as well. And I don't think I don't think there's a lot of people going, oh, I had an enthusiasm for opening weekend. I don't know that represents, honestly, a good chunk of the average movie going on. So I don't think they care that much about it. So, but it does raise the question. A movie that is so well received critically, I think it's got like a 92, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. The fans, at least from what I've been hearing from everybody, love the film, some more than others, but I've yet to get a message from anybody, well, except for one person. I've heard from one person that didn't really like the film. We'll talk about that in a second. But all of you that I've heard from have, pardon me, have been overwhelmingly positive about the film. So it does raise the question, well, then why didn't Shazam do a little bit better? You know, it's following up on a big success for DC with Aquaman. The trailers have looked fantastic. The buzz, the reviews have been excellent. The buzz has been positive. So and by the way, for a lot of films, $53 million is great. And also, by the way, in its opening weekend, this movie's already made well over its production budget. So this movie is well on its way to being profitable. Don't worry about that. But it does raise the question, why didn't it do better? Why didn't it make more? Rob, I want to propose a couple of possibilities here. Possibility number one. People didn't like Aquaman as much as maybe we think they did. I mean, now I'm not saying this is the reason, I'm just throwing this out. This is a possibility. Because, if people really loved Aquaman, well then, when the next big DCU movie comes out, why did so few? Now, I didn't expect every single one of them to go out and see Shazam, but why did so few of them come out to check out Shazam? Like, if they really had a good time with that one, why didn't more come out and support the other? Could it be that maybe people didn't like Aquaman as much as we think they did? I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just proposing that as a possibility. Because I'll tell you right now, this movie is better than Aquaman. And you and I can debate that in a minute. So that's one possibility. A second possibility, of course, is, look, Aquaman has never been considered one of the major superheroes, but everybody has heard of Aquaman, right? Shazam? Not so much. I think there are a lot of people who've never even heard of Shazam, don't even know who he is. That's a possibility. I think a third possibility here is something you and I, Rob, talked about when we were in Vegas, which is, look, the Avengers Endgame tickets going on sale completely dominated the news cycle. And it completely overshadowed the fact that this weekend Shazam opens up. Because all anybody was talking about, understandably, was the Avengers Endgame tickets going on sale, and that's all everybody was talking about, and you almost would forget that Shazam was even opening this weekend. And then you throw in a little bit, a little side dash onto that. It's like maybe everybody spent all their movie ticket money that week on the Avengers Endgame advance ticket sales. I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just throwing that out there. So there's three possibilities. Maybe people didn't like Aquaman as much as we thought. Number two, we underestimated just how obscure the Shazam character is, maybe to a large group of the audience. Maybe, I don't know. Number three, maybe it was just the total dominance of the news cycle by the Endgame tickets going on sale. And I don't want us to lose fact that $53 million is a pretty decent opening for a lot of movies, Rob, including a movie that only had a $90 million budget. So that's not bad. So let's not pretend that Shazam came out of the gate and fell on its face. It's just that for a movie that to me is this good, and regardless of whether you think the movie's good or not, it had huge audience buzz. It had big buzz from the critics. It looked great. Rob, whether it's some of my theories or maybe you have some of your own, while Shazam did fine, why didn't it do better? What do you think?
Because it's not that good.
That's irrelevant. No. Throw that out the window, Rob. Throw that out the window. Number one, it is that good. But take that out for a second. No. Nobody knows whether it's that good until they pay their money and buy a ticket to go see the movie. It's all about the buzz, and the buzz, you cannot deny, has been overwhelmingly positive. The reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. The previews have been overwhelmingly great. We've all loved the previews. So
nope. Only in our little movie.
You love the previews. You love the previews.
I did, and I have to tell you, that's why the movie to me was really disappointing, because it did not live up to those previews.
It absolutely did. It absolutely did.
I'll tell you why. When I was watching this movie, and I'll give you an example. You've already done a spoiler review, but I'm just going to say non-spoilery.
I didn't. I couldn't do my spoiler review because I had no voice.
They establish our character, young Billy Batson, as being...
Let's not go into a review of the film. I just want to know, why didn't the movie... why right now did the movie not do better?
I don't judge a movie. You can't judge a movie based on other movies. You can't equate this movie to Aquaman, because it's not Aquaman. It can't say, look, Shazam was on the big screen in the 40s in one of my favorite serials of all time, The Adventures of Captain Marvel. I know, look it up. You can get it on Blu-ray. It's great. I've loved this character. I grew up with this character. I love the comics growing up. I love watching the Saturday morning TV show growing up. I was really looking forward to this movie. And until a third act twist that I found incredibly delightful, I did not know it was coming. I should have seen it coming as a longtime Shazam fan or Captain Marvel fan. I found it utterly delightful, and I was enchanted by it. But the first two acts of this movie never, to me, lived up to what I was hoping the movie would be. I didn't think it was as smart as it should have been. It certainly wasn't as satisfying as, say, Big was. And I think that the audience that I saw it with, packed audience on a Friday night, was not very whelmed by it. There was a smattering of applause. There wasn't a lot of applause. But I think people walked out of there. Some people loved it. And I don't take that away from everybody, but I think the general audiences were underwhelmed. Although it did get an A cinema score, and I think that I think I don't, again, you might be right. You might be right about Aquaman. I mean, it's going to be interesting because we have another comic book movie in Hellboy opening Friday. They released that great gore trailer that was kind of amusing to watch. But I just think that these movies, I mean, when they're delivering the kind of entertainments, if these movies aren't truly great, and I know you think it's great, but I thought it was small. I mean, it didn't give me what I wanted. It did not fulfill my wishes. If I had become a superhero, I did not see that ultimate wish fulfillment in Shazam. And I think that's what it failed to do for audiences.
Well, now you and I obviously completely disagree on this topic, because I thought the movie was magnificent. But again, let me bring it back to this. You bought your tickets to this movie not knowing whether or not you liked the movie or not, because you hadn't seen it yet. So I reject this notion that some people have about different movies about, well, this movie didn't do good opening weekend because it wasn't good. Well, wait a minute, time out. People didn't know whether it was good or not until they went to the movie to see it, but it didn't get people interested in going to see it. Rob, you and I have been doing the show now, and ever since the preview screenings, we've had people writing in on this show saying, saw Shazam, loved it, saw Shazam, loved it, blah, blah, blah. The audience, there was clearly big positive buzz. The critics are over 90% on this movie. right? So, understanding that nobody knew whether or not they were going to like the movie, why did more people not go and give this movie a chance to find out whether they liked it or not? Because clearly it inspired you to buy your tickets for opening night, so you went to go see it opening night. Why did it not get more people out? What was it about the marketing or the buildup or the circumstances or whatever that prevented more people from taking that chance on it on its opening weekend to find out if they liked it? What do you think one of those
Well, I think they did everything
was?
right. I think they did everything right. There's nothing with the marketing of this movie that they did wrong. They did everything right. And
I agree.
All the people that went and saw that preview screening were us. It's us. It's our audience. It's you and I. I mean, I didn't go. You invited me, but I couldn't go. But it's us. We were the people that turned out for that preview screening, and it's in the movie pundit space. Everybody liked it. All the people that are vocal online. I just don't think it would have.
Wait, Rob, do you mean all those online pundits that are paid off to say that they hate DC? Are those the guys you're talking about?
You know that.
Just wanted to be clear.
I keep waiting, John. I keep waiting for my check. I go to my mailbox every day, and I wait for my Marvel check. I wait for my Disney check. I wait for my. Even when we talk about how Man of Steel is so good, I'm like, where's my residual check for talking about Man of Steel 6 years after the fact? Which I will still say to this day, I love Man of Steel.
Still my number one favorite DCU film. Still my number one.
I just think this movie didn't deliver on its promise.
But again, Rob, that's irrelevant as to why people would buy. You had no idea whether it delivered on its promise until you bought your ticket and saw it.
Right, but
so
I don't think there's no momentum of the word of mouth.
Look, the word of mouth has been overwhelmingly positive. The word of mouth has been extremely positive. So, understanding that, now I can understand going into week number 2, right?
That's
then going into week number 2. Yeah, going into week number 2, then you can say the movie was underwhelming and that's why it took an X percentage drop. Then I can understand that. That does not apply to opening weekend because all the buzz has been positive. Like you said, the trailers did everything perfectly. You cannot say the movie underwhelmed, which I disagree with, but that's your position. You can't say the movie underwhelmed and therefore that's why people went, because people didn't know it underwhelmed. They didn't know. All they heard was all the critics saying it was great. All they heard was all this fan response from the preview screenings that they did 2 weeks early, and tens of thousands of people across the country went out to it and they just heard these overwhelmingly positive things. So take this thing about you were underwhelmed by the movie out of it. I want to know, why do you think then, in the presence of overwhelmingly positive buzz, in the presence of a great marketing campaign that we agree on, in the presence of overwhelmingly positive critic reviews, a super high Rotten Tomato score, an A cinema score, everything you need, all the ingredients for a recipe for a big opening weekend,
okay,
why didn't people go see it?
I'll give you another theory.
Because I have a couple of theories, but I don't know if they pan out or not.
I have another theory. Okay, look what we got coming out. We got Game of Thrones coming out, right?
Yeah.
We got Endgame coming out. You had Killing Eve dropped, which is this movie, and this is going to seem a little strange, is not cool. Game of Thrones is cool. Endgame is cool. Yeah. Killing Eve is cool. This movie is like, and it felt to me when I watched it, it's a kids movie. Mm-hmm. It's the kids version of what has become cool. Even Aquaman was way cooler. So if you're the general audience and you're not as dialed into movie reviews and you're not as dialed in as the pundit space, do you want to go see this movie? Is this movie cool for you, or is it a movie that's more for kids? I think I think they might not have gone because even they, like, we loved it because we're susceptible to this kind of thing. But if you're a gun-toting, pickup truck driving, beer swilling American, I want to watch Captain America go kick Thanos' ass. But do I want to watch this bubblegum chewing big kid in a red suit, the big red cheese? Do I want to watch that guy? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Sign me up. I'll go watch it 20 more times. But, I mean, you do raise a point. Like, my whole thought was the Endgame ticket sales, the fact that Game of Thrones is very dominant in the news cycle right now and stuff like that. I don't know that Hellboy is getting a lot of attention, but, I mean, there is a lot of stuff vying for that attention. There was even a point, Rob, that you and I thought there was a possibility, about a month or so ago that, hey, man, we think that maybe even Shazam might have a bigger opening weekend than Captain Marvel. And
I thought
that was
I
until
that. I did.
That was until until we saw that Captain Marvel had a $150 million opening. Then it was like, well, no, Shazam is not going to beat a $150 million opening. But yeah, I gotta say, I am surprised. I wasn't expecting a $100 million opening for Shazam. I wasn't expecting that, but with the positive buzz, the high critic scores, the great marketing campaign, I gotta admit, I'm surprised that, pardon me, that it came in as low as 53, which again is fine for most movies and is totally fine for a movie that cost $90 million to make.
Yeah.
I thought it deserved more. But anyway, what do you guys think? A lot of you guys had a chance to check out Shazam. Jump into the comments section below and let us know what you thought about it and give us your opinions about what caused people to not want to take a chance. Was it the Endgame stuff with all the attention on that? Was it Game of Thrones stuff, the attention on that? Was it just it didn't look like something that would be cool for us? Jump down there and let us know your thoughts.